Good morning. It is 6:05 KINA Coffee Talk. Randy Picking and Jerry Henriquez with you on this Friday morning, the last Friday of March. It's Good Friday, and we have with us a gentleman who is radio interning in case his career in Washington doesn't work out, Roger Marshall.
And
Congressman, good morning.
Good morning. We turned the 10-second delay on for me.
So that's how this works. Well, good morning, Randy and Jerry. Proud to be here. You guys have been doing this for 12 years here, so I'll let you take the lead.
Well, we'll just go. We want to ask you questions. I know you're going to be in Manhattan a little later this morning.
So we have to let you out of here at 6:20. Hey, let's get to the elephant in the room right away. The omnibus bill, a lot of people upset and some people happy. I think you were backed into a corner with the military, but give us your pluses and minuses and why you voted for it.
Sure. You know, it was a tough situation. The toughest vote that I've had to take so far, was actually just almost nauseated the week coming up to it, not being able to take this one piece at a time. And, I would start by saying that, the House passed this omnibus one piece at a time like it's supposed to be done back in September, when we had control of each piece of it. And the Senate was never able to move any of that and basically did back us up into a corner. When I go to bed at night and people say, what does Roger Marshall worry about? It's the national debt. The national debt is the biggest threat to our security. It's the biggest threat to roads, bridges, and schools, whatever you think is important. So certainly adding to the national debt was the downside, and I deserve to be beat up over that.
Well, believe it or not, I was 51% in favor of the omnibus bill and 49%, and I'm a real right-wing conservative. Our military has really been and has deteriorated under Obama over the last 8 years. I think we needed that money really bad.
Yeah, so one of my promises that I made in the campaign is that I would make our country stronger again, that I would support the military. And certainly we were in pretty bad shape. What, a third of our jets can't even fly. A third of our Navy jets can't fly either right now. So that's just an example, let alone, we had 80 soldiers die in training accidents last year. So we needed to do something, and we had the chance to do it. We worked very hard. We raised the funding for the military from $500 to $700 billion, and this is a great step in the right direction.
Well, I just want to throw out to you the health care is something that I think we all have a concern. It didn't muster well in Congress last year. It couldn't get the support it needed in Congress. I'm a guy out on an island by myself. I think health insurance ought to be a lot like car insurance. When I get an oil change or replace a battery or tires, I pay for it myself. Is there a model or something that could be done to a model where there are things that we pay the freight, maybe more catastrophic type coverage is what we should have?
So absolutely. Healthcare is the number one concern. Let me back up. The cost of healthcare, not the cost of insurance. The cost of healthcare is the number one concern of small businesses, as you're describing right now. So what I would suggest, let me back up again. We did repeal the individual mandate finally, and it would be our goal to give you more choices. You're a person that thinks you can choose for yourself what type of insurance you want, as opposed to the federal government telling you what type of insurance you need. So my advice for people is to look at some of the health ministry plans out there that may give you some more choices as well. And President Trump is trying to do some things that associations can purchase health care as well, give you some group purchasing power. So the president is trying to do some things executively. We're trying very hard to get some type of legislation to give you more choices, but we'll need 60 votes over on the Senate side to get it done.
Is there a chance that that'll happen before the election this year? What do you think the odds are?
Oh, I would say 30% chance that we'll do a whole lot more in healthcare. If we do anything, it'll be to try to fix the individual market like you're describing, where people purchase their health insurance on their own. There's a little bit of talk of doing that, but again, I don't know we can get 60 votes on anything else the rest of the year in the Senate.
Now, I'm in the minority on this issue. I'm in favor of tariffs. And China, what was it? China since 1990 is at $4 trillion.
I think it's $4 trillion.
That we've had a deficit anywhere from 300 to 500 billion. That money that we buy from China, we're helping support their military and build these islands and the the Pacific or the South China Seas. And then we're loaning, or actually they're taking money and we're borrowing it from them. My brother, who's a farmer along the Platte River, you would think that he would be against tariffs, but he actually made a comment. He said, at one point in my life, he said, I gotta start worrying about the United States and not just my farm. So you and I are on opposite ends on this. I'm really in favor of these tariffs.
Well, you should go be a sorghum farmer right now, and the price of sorghum went from $5.50 a bushel to $4.50 a bushel almost overnight when China retaliated on President Trump's tariff on washing machines and solar panels. So the problem is that agriculture always bears the blunt of these retaliations. Agriculture is always the tip of the spear. And you're right, we can disagree and keep having a conversation, but make no mistake about it, agriculture is going to be worse off for these tariffs. We need strong trade agreements, and then we need a president that will hold these countries accountable, and that's exactly what President Trump has been doing and will keep doing. We need to hold China accountable to the trade agreements that they've already signed, and we need a World Trade Organization to do its job as well.
Now, not just the farmers, because like I say, you are correct, the farmers a lot of times take the brunt in these trade negotiations, but do you have any, other than President Trump, which I really believe he will hold them, but what about Europe and all these other countries? Our trade deficits are unbelievable.
Well, first of all, we have a great trade relationship with NAFTA, and I don't think that's true of our relationship with NAFTA when you include financial services that we do for those countries. So we actually have a surplus when you include the financial services that we offer Mexico. So NAFTA has been working well. It can be better. And I sit down with President Trump. I just want to reassure the American public that President Trump wants a stronger trade agreement. He wants more jobs in America, but he absolutely has the same goals that we have. We need to hold Europe accountable. We need to hold all these people accountable. Other countries have taken advantages of us for the last several decades. The apology tour is over with. We're going to make America strong again.
I want to appreciate, first of all, I got to, Jerry, hand him actually my survey I got in the mail from his office yesterday, Congressman. So that's a first for me to actually hand it to the Congressman. Here's my answers to your questionnaire. And you talk about border security, DACA, the things we do. There's a couple of them I had to answer unsure because with DACA, I want some things taken care of, like maybe a reduction in chain migration, visa reform, the border wall. Can those be melded together? I know the president earlier in the year threw that out as something that he would like to see Congress give him, but now DACA is kind of left behind, and the border wall, I think the president's going to try to use a military budget to get that started.
Sure. Well, we gave the president about $2 billion to start his border wall. I think he only asked for 1.3, but we gave him almost $2 billion to start that wall, and we gave him about $50 billion for international security. Not just the barrier, but adding boots on the grounds, adding infrastructure, adding technology to make our borders secure. And whether we're talking about DACA or we're talking about agricultural work visas, all these discussions talk about making our border secure, not just for immigration issues, but for drug issues and terrorists as well. So we are talking very seriously about solutions to DACA, but the bigger problem in Kansas is an agriculture work visa. We have 3,000 DACA recipients in the state, but we have tens of thousands of jobs that could be impacted by a solid agriculture work visa. Agree absolutely with where you're going with this. Anyone that gets a visa, we should prioritize them for people that have a job that can take care of themselves and their family. So in our solutions, we always talk about that if you want an agriculture guest work visa, you need an employer vouching for you. And there's certainly this idea that because I got a green card, that my fifth cousin on my mom's side should be entered into this country ahead of people that grow jobs and people that have a job is ridiculous. So I think you'll see in all of our solutions some common sense, long-term solutions to dialing some of those dials backwards.
Second Amendment issues, bump stocks, mental health issues. Where do you stand on the different things that are coming down the pike?
Sure. So I'm a lifetime NRA member. I don't wear any amendment on my shirt sleeve. They're all important to me, but the Second Amendment...
you don't look like NASCAR drivers with emblems on your...
Yeah, I guess not, but I do own guns. I just grew up around them. Enjoy hunting, enjoy the outdoors. My dad, a police officer, one of the fun things we did was on a Saturday afternoon to go to the shooting range. He would qualify, and then my brother and I would get to take turns shooting his guns. As a matter of fact, he gave me the gun that he carried as a police officer is probably my most treasured gem that I have from him. So there's solutions out there. There are school safety issues that we've already passed. We were working on these before the Parkland incident. And I think that all of us know that even if Parkland would have followed the current systems, this would have never happened. I cannot write a law that can prevent all these future crimes. First of all, I would tell people, look to yourselves. Quit looking to Washington to solve your problems. Look in the mirror. What can your school do to make itself safer? We've now given you some monies to help make it safer, to make it physically safer. You need locks, you need video cameras, you need panic buttons. But we're also providing monies for training for teachers, for principals, for students to recognize who is that person that we used to call it go off the deep end. I just don't have a better explanation, but we see that happening. Mental health, 60, maybe 80% of these people that have committed mass murders have mental health issues. They're either severely depressed or schizophrenic. So let's help train teachers to recognize what's the difference between a person that's talking about suicide versus a person that's suicidal. And how do you recognize that?
I have 3 daughters. They're all masters with English and ESL. And I want something simple just like bear spray in the classrooms. That'd be pretty simple. That stuff sprays, 20 feet and supposed to stop a bear, but at least it gives a fighting chance. Randy?
Well, I tell you, Congressman, this kind of answered the question I was getting ready to ask. It seems like maybe we ought to think about handling some issues locally and statewide before looking to the federal government. So, I mean, first of all, I think it would get done a lot faster.
What a novel idea. I had a retired school teacher grab me 2 days ago in Sublette, Kansas, and she said, I just got something I want to tell you. She said that these mass murders start with a behavioral issue in 2nd grade and 1st grade. And over half of kids don't have a father when they're born now. And there's behavioral issues in the school system. And now it's like the school system is expected to raise my kids for me. So first of all, families need to take responsibility. And then unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to give teachers more options to deal, Jerry, just like you're talking about. Maybe bear spray is a little aggressive, but what do we do with those kids?
They have master's degree. They're smart daughters. It's not that hard to spray. The spray.
I get it. I mean, I can't believe the disruption that's allowed to go on in schools now that keeps my kids, other kids, from getting educated. But how do you deal with those kids? And then those kids end up are the ones that are getting bullied on the playground, and then they snap later in life. So something's not working right. Our culture, this is a societal problem that we need to fix. Again, let's look in the mirror and see how we can fix it. Washington cannot solve this problem.
Yeah, I hope you don't think I'm advocating for bear spray for the kids. It's for a intruder.
Oh, for the intruder. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you kidding? The bear spray would be strictly for safety reasons if an intruder with a gun came in to spray at them. No, sometimes I think they like to use bear spray.
There's some pretty bad behavioral issues going on where kids are out of control,
oh, yes.
And the teachers are fearful for their own lives. You have a 16-year-old young man that weighs 220 pounds and you're a 90-pound teacher.
Oh, I hear it all the time.
Well, Congressman, we're about out of time. Any closing thoughts before we have to let you go?
Well, I would just say this. You hear the national media tone that the sky is falling, the world's coming to an end. And I just ask people, do you feel safer today than you did a year and a half ago? ISIS is 1% the size it was over a year ago. Our national security, our international security, much improved. How about our economy? We haven't even talked about the economy yet today. Our economy is now humming thanks to rolling back regulations and our Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. 4 quarters in a row, a 3% GDP growth, unemployment at a 15-year low. Millions of Americans have received bonuses and pay raises. This is a great time. EPA's rolled back. This is a great time to be an American. This is a great time to start a new business. This is a great time to start a new career. Incredible technical colleges out here across Kansas. If you don't have a job, go get the training and get a job. This is just a great time to be an American. There are better days ahead of us. The apology tour is over.
Thank you.
Congressman, thank you.